For the service that you provide, what % is sex and what % is companionship?
It's about 50-50.
This is something that AI cannot do.
There is nothing quite like holding a hand of a human.
Oh. Today's guest, we have been excited to have on the show for weeks. It took a while. He's in Australia, 14 hours ahead of us. He's a trooper for staying up so late. But he delivers a service, a critical service to the women of Australia.
He does. And I can't wait to talk to him. I feel like George will have some answers to questions that we have never asked before.
Because we never talked to somebody like George, who left a regular career, to become a male, what do we call it?
Male escort.
A male escort.
He's a male escort. So it's companionship, it's dates. I went on his website.
It's connection.
He's got packages.
Yeah.
And this is something I think that's really important to talk about because people feel like what he does or what someone like Air Force Amy does is salacious. Right. And I don't believe it is. I believe it is really giving a service to people that are very lonely.
That is the heart of it.
Or who are coming out of a very difficult relationship and they need a bridge or whatever other reason that there might be for them to hire someone like George. But also, George must be a pretty special guy to get paid for companionship and for sex.
And for sex, yeah. And it's legal over there.
It is legal.
That's why we can speak freely about it.
Don't at us.
So let's speak freely about it. And George, welcome to the show, buddy.
Hi, George.
Well, thank you so much, Mark and Stacey. It's an absolute pleasure and privilege to be here and to be able to share my story and to answer any questions that you have.
Love it.
Love it. I love it. I'm so excited for this conversation. So George, what is your story? Tell me how you went from a 25-year career in business to what you're doing now.
The very short story is that after having 2 long-term relationships, I figured that, I loved meeting women. I loved dating, and I've done extensive dating for the last dozen years or so.
Extensive dating.
Many of the women that I would see just said, look, where are all the guys like you? And in my own business brain, that's like, well, there's an opportunity there. And online dating can be a fraught experience. It can be soul-destroying and time-consuming. And so a couple of years ago, after being made redundant from a full-time job, it just seemed that all the stars aligned. And it's like, well, why not do what I'm doing already and monetize it? But there's, as we'll talk about, there's far more about it than monetizing.
Right.
So was it about the money? Was it about the freedom? Was it about the sex? What was it? What was your main driver for choosing that career? You could have chosen any career, right? So what
I certainly
led you
could have. Yeah. Look, I think what it is, Mark, it's a combination of those things. And it's certainly evolved over the last 2 years of doing the work. It was not a monetary exercise in and of itself. I was earning good money in a corporate job, but I was miserable. It was stressful. I really wasn't enjoying my life. And so it sort of occurred to me that I love dating. I love women. And as an extrovert, I enjoy the communication, getting to meet people. So it was a fairly natural progression for me to go from dating to stepping into this work where my clients, the women that I see now, value that communication, the fact that I pay attention and I listen and I'm really present for them. Look, I give so much and my clientele receives so much from what I do. It's sort of hard to put into very precise words. It's really
so like you have like that certain special something that a woman's going to want to pay for.
Yes.
In addition, so I guess my question is, what was that first time when you approached a woman and you're having a nice conversation and then you had to let her know that this is not free?
Yes. Well, I tell you what, the first experience happened, I did not prompt it. It was a woman that I'd been dating. We'd had a couple of, we'd matched on a dating site. We'd hooked up a couple of times. And she said to me, look, George, I want to pay you because I want to maintain an emotional distance. And so for me, that was before I started professionally doing the work. And it was a really fascinating moment because I had to appreciate that, yes, we've been intimate before, but now she's paying me. I've got to step up a gear. And it was daunting, I've got to say, Stacey. It was like, wow, what do I need to do that's better than what I was
Yeah.
already doing?
How do you do
So
that? Like what? There's no training, right? What?
no, it was just being really cognizant that I've got to do better than what I've already done. And I thought what I was doing was pretty good. So, so we had a date that went on for hours, and then at the end of the evening, there was an envelope with cash in it. And I walked away from that thinking, oh my goodness, I've been paid for sex for the first time in my life.
Which is
And
legal, right? It's legal where
It's
you
legal
are.
in
it's
Australia.
completely
Right.
legal.
Right.
Yes, it is. Yes. Um, and so that was probably about a year before I actually started doing this work professionally. So it was almost a catalyst
I
to
can't.
make me
I
think,
can't. I want to get in the mind of a woman who would say, you know what, I want this separation, so I want to pay for this instead of having you. Like, in my, what I've
Your
seen in
experience
my experience is that most women, when they
in paying
find an
that.
incredible guy like you, they're like, okay, I want to just hang out with this guy and I want him to love me and I want to spend the rest of my life with him. Like,
Right.
what's your typical client like that wants to actually keep this separate?
well, I'm glad you asked that because most of my clients don't want that. They don't want that, I want to fall in love and be with this man. Because many of my clients, to your question, have not had intimacy for a very long time. It might have been 5 years, 10 years. And the thought of doing online dating is terrifying for them. And it's like, look, I'm a professional. So let's say they go to a therapist. They want to know they're getting a good experience with someone who's got good reviews. Same as they do for me. They and again, it's not just about the sex. It's they don't want to troll through all of the men on dating sites. They want to know that look, they can just get what they pay for. They can and they can not feel that they're falling in love, but they're almost like they're just learning to know if they can feel safe and they can feel confident and get their confidence by being with a professional who is not going to fall in love with them.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question because if it is, let's just say they pay for sex. That's a very transactional thing, right? There's a beginning and an ending. Done. If they're paying for compassion and relationship and connection, wouldn't they just need to keep coming to you? You can't do that in two times and now, okay, I'm not going to pay him anymore. Because then there wasn't much to it. Is you hold hands with a stranger one night and then you never see that person again. So
You know,
seemingly they need to be more connected to you over time.
it's far more nuanced than that, Mark, and it's really difficult to express in a very short time. But some of my clients might just see me one time, and I've experienced this many times, and they say, "My goodness, George, what you've done is transformative." Like they might have been seeing a therapist for a long time, but therapists can only go so far. They can talk to them about what they might do, but the physicality of being with a woman can be extraordinarily different. I have clients that I've been seeing for almost all of the 2 years I've been doing this work. And it's a relationship, absolutely, but it is transactional at the same time. So it's a very fine line between getting to be lovers or in a relationship because it is at the end of the day, I would not see them if they're not paying me.
Right.
So there's a lot of nuance around how that
Interesting.
works.
Right.
Yeah.
This is wild.
Yeah, because I go ahead. You have another. Go ahead.
Well, just back to you. Are there is there no go zones? Are there things that you have had to turn down? Clients have said, "Can we blank?"
Yes. So I get to choose, and just, I do get to turn down clients. And the way that works, like, let's say compared to the opposite, let's say a man seeking out a woman to have sex. And certainly here in Australia, it's traditionally in an establishment, like a parlour or a brothel. And I've come to know many women who do that work, and they really don't get much choice. Um, but in my circumstance, I'm totally independent. I have a website. There's no venue for me to just um, be there waiting for the women to come in. That doesn't happen. I do my own vetting process. So I get inquiries. I put a lot of energy and a lot of time into my work. And so, because for me, authenticity is absolutely vital. So let's say I get an inquiry from a woman. I'll ask her questions. I'll insist on a phone call because I need to know if I'm going to do the right, if I'm going to be the best person for her. So I'll ask about her background. What's her story? What's she hoping for? And if I'm not the right person for her, I won't take the money. It's that's less important for me than giving her something extraordinary. So it's really about making sure that we are connected and I can give her exactly what it is that she wants or as close to it as possible.
Oh, I'm starting to see why this is maybe not a huge moneymaker, because if you have to vet everyone and like make sure that the client's right, like that's got to be
Yeah.
yeah.
So that'd be a lot.
That's a thing.
And you're, because it's legal, you're regulated. And I mean, is there a
Yes.
certification or you file for license or?
Yeah, look, it's not quite like that, Mark. So, look, I'm registered as a business. I can claim certain things like my travel, my accommodation, and my sex toys
Yeah.
as a tax expense, and that's terrific. And I'm not at risk of being arrested or having anything like that occur to me, which is marvelous. And nor are my clients. It's a free market that we can do that very
Yeah.
well. Um, and yes, it's a lot of work. I suggest that I do probably 10 hours of unpaid work for every hour of paid work. And what I mean by that is all the time communicating with potential clients, all of the administration, like the maintaining my website, organizing the logistics of where we're going to meet, and a lot of communication with my clients, both potential clients and ongoing clients. Lots of text messaging because it's for me, it really is a, such an important thing to make sure that I can do the best job for them, which is totally unique and customized.
To each person. So, I mean, do you find that these are single women, these are married women, divorced women, widows? Is it all the above?
All of the above.
Okay.
Predominantly single slash widowed. I do have a couple of women in relationships, and my approach to that is that they seek me out. I don't seek them out. And I don't judge because there might be various reasons why they feel that they're not getting what they want. And yeah, in my past, I cheated. Um, and so I don't condone it in my own personal life. But in this professional life, I, yeah, there are so many reasons why clients might want to just find what is really important and connecting for them. But the
Absolutely.
bulk of my clients, I would say, Stacey, are from probably 45 to upwards to 80, which is my
80. I love this.
that yeah, my eldest client is 80, and been seeing her for quite some time, and she's absolutely delightful. And look, I feel it. And I must admit, it was a bit uncomfortable or a bit odd at first, uh, once I discovered her age. But yeah, it did after all this time. She's just an extraordinarily gorgeous woman.
Wow.
And I feel honored again to be able to
Wow.
just be there. Age is a number, it's a cliche,
Yeah.
but yeah, the joy that she brings to me and that I give to her. And I want to just mention one thing that she sent me a message just a couple of days ago, and said, George, what I provide to you is material, i.e., money, but what you provide to me is priceless. To me, that's, oh,
Yeah, that has
good
to really
gracious.
kind of fill your soul. Like
Right.
when you are with your clients and maybe it's a new client, how are you vetting them and what's the process? And are you like taking each person and kind of thinking, okay, this is what they is it like how does it work?
Sure. Well, I'll give you an example of a very recent client that I saw on the weekend. So, and this is a somewhat of a typical client, Stacey. So, most of my clients have never seen an escort before. So let's say they've come out of a long-term relationship or a marriage, and even within that relationship, they've not had intimacy for a long time. So they might have even had sexual trauma or all manner of abuse that um, they've not felt confident to be able to reach out. But they've got to a point of courageousness where they have. And so we'll have the phone call. I'll ask them, okay, tell me a bit about yourself. And because on my website there's photographs, there's videos of me, and I'm a visual person, I say, look, can you please send me a couple of photos of you? Not, I'm not talking any explicit ones, just your face. And so I know who I'm talking to. And we'll have a conversation. And that then allows the client to relax. And we get to see to hear how the conversation goes. And then if either one of us sort of feels like, no, this doesn't feel quite right, then either of us can opt out. But it's very rare that that happens. And even like the client I was just mentioning, she was very nervous. And when we met up on the weekend, she'd said, George, what if when we meet, I don't feel, or you don't feel that attraction? It's like, no problem. Either of us can just pull back. That's consent is everything. So, we can negotiate. If, let's say, you meet me, you don't find me appealing, and you don't want to do anything that we've talked about, no problem. I'll, I'll give you your money back, that sort of thing. So there is no pressure. This is about you as a woman approaching me, and the last thing I want is to feel that you feel pressured to do something.
Do
That's not
you?
what.
Sorry, I mean, I thought you were through. Do you go into? Do these nights begin with the knowledge that we are going to connect emotionally and connect as humans, and then potentially connect physically? Is it always that
100%.
understanding, right? So then at some point there's I don't know, is there a conversation, or if it's going to happen, it just happens. But if it's not going to happen, somebody says, you know what, no.
Yeah, exactly, Mark. So some of my clients, particularly on the first date, they're unsure. They don't quite know what they want. And so they might start with wanting just a social date because they may not have been with a man for 10 years or longer. And so they're nervous. They they're not rushing to the idea of intimacy and sex. So they might just want to meet for lunch and take it very slowly. And that's 100% fine with me. So we might have 2 hours and I'll allow extra time. I won't make any other bookings or other plans so that if they feel that they would like to extend, we can do that. And I've got a number of clients who I've seen 4, 5, 6 times and we still haven't had sex. It's just, and that might never happen for them, but it may, but that's totally within their control. So it's really about just connecting, and it opens up them to feel perhaps confident about being with a man, and simple things like holding hands and walking through a city together. And that intimacy is sometimes more potent and powerful than
Right.
getting our clothes off.
But what if you are in a situation, so you're saying that someone could hire you and then you could have the first date and then you decide that you don't want to be with them. Is there, that to me, if I'm like, I'm hiring George and we're going on, and then George is like, you know what? No, I'm gonna give you your money back.
Gotta be a slap,
I'm
right?
not interested in you.
Even
like
George turned me down.
George, like that would
What's
be
wrong with me?
awful. Like, has that happened? Like, what happens?
Look, it's not, no, it hasn't happened.
Okay,
And,
good.
Oh, good.
you know, Stacey, I credit that with the filtering process I do
Okay,
beforehand.
okay.
Because I can find something beautiful about almost every woman. And I have, however, in the lead up to meeting someone, through the conversation and the photographs and the phone call, I've got that feeling that I'm not the right person for you. But it's never happened after we've met
Okay,
in
okay.
person.
Because I think it's different with women and men, right? Because women don't necessarily have to be turned on to have sex with a guy, right?
No.
This is nothing I'm new to you guys, right? You know what I mean? But men do, right? So how do you get yourself wrapped around that sometimes? You just think about something beautiful in every woman.
I don't need to do that.
Oh,
Frankly, look,
you're special that way.
I'm what you refer to as sapiosexual, which means turned on by intelligence and
Oh,
connection. So, sure, it's all fine to have a preference as to what your ideal partner might look like, but I can very comfortably be with women of different ages, sizes, shapes, provided there's that mental connection with them. It could be a sense of humor or a love of similar hobbies or art or what have you. And that for me is enough. And that again goes back to why I require the conversation to see where's the symmetry going on between us that overcomes, like, they're not all going to be models. And not that I would want that anyway.
So I think it's safe to say that the most common misconception would be that people think those in your profession are having sex. That's what you do. Aside from that misconception, what are some of the biggest misconceptions for the onlookers who don't realize what it's like?
They don't appreciate, Mark, that there is so much depth to what we do. Like, I am, look, if you were going to, and I get many men contact me to say, oh, I want to do what you do, George. I love sex and I love money. I'm like, look, sorry, dude, that is not a good enough reason to enter into this industry. And look, if you're still going to do it, good luck to you, but you won't last. It's all about kindness and compassion and paying attention and listening, because my clientele, they've not received that caring and observation. That's what they want more than anything. Look, I'm 53 years old. My clients, as I said to you earlier, are from 45 and above. They don't want some young hot guy who's got a six pack and works, in the gym every day. And they've said to me that I would be intimidated and I would be bored because I can't imagine what the hell we would talk about.
Talk about.
So they just want a human connection, and that's where I guess I have a niche, as an older man who's had life experience and education and so forth. It's so yeah. Look, the misconception is that it's just about sex, because it absolutely is not just
no,
about sex.
not at all. But for you, this is your job, right? But do you have relationships outside of this? Like, I know that you have so many fulfilling relationships with your clients, but would you have a significant other? And if so, like, what do they think of this?
Great question, Stacey. I am single, and as I alluded to earlier, I've been ethically non-monogamous for quite some time. So I have some occasional partners, and they're very aware of what I do. Honesty is super important, and it surprises me that I would imagine that women would not want to date someone like me.
But they
Who
do.
would want to date? Who would want to date an escort? But it does come down to the fact that I'm very clear and open and honest. And so yeah, it's been an interesting journey to realize that some women are totally cool with that because they don't necessarily want something traditional either.
Have you been married before, or do you want to get married or have kids?
Well, yes, I was married once. I do have kids.
Oh, you have kids?
Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. So, look, I met my ex-wife when we were like 20 together till we were like 30, then had another long-term relationship that ended 12 years ago. So I've done the 20 years of being in long-term relationships. Um, and in those last 12 years or so, that's where I focused on ethical non-monogamy. I don't feel the need, I don't want to get married again.
Yeah.
My independence is absolutely,
Crucial.
vital and important to me. Yeah, so that's why leaning into this work, it would take an extraordinary woman for me to decide that I'm going to give this up, to
Right.
do something, back to being monogamous.
Yeah.
It's sort of not, yeah, never say never, but you
And,
never
and
know.
how old are your kids? Do they know? I mean, you're not private about what you do. Do they know
No,
you're
my family know. My son just turned 28.
okay?
He's like,
He loves
yeah,
it.
Dad, that's cool. Yeah, my mum, my brother, and my sister, they're like, yeah, nothing would surprise us about you.
Oh, I love it.
So I'm sure we can speculate the good, the bad, and the ugly of what you do. But I'd love to hear it from your perspective. What is the good of it? What is the bad? And what's that surprisingly ugly part?
Yeah. Well, the good is outweighs the bad and the ugly like tenfold.
Yeah.
The good is the joy that I get from seeing the exchange that occurs and the impact that I have on my clients' lives. It's hard to fathom, Mark, that I transform women's lives like quickly. From I see a woman come in to a session nervous, anxious, stressed. 2 hours later, 3 hours later, it's like she's floating on a cloud. And I see this over and over again. And don't take my word for it. The testimonials on my website
We read those,
are
yeah.
their words that just, and
There's
I
something.
read them. I read those testimonials and I think, who is this guy?
That's great.
And he's
But
self-deprecating too.
yeah, well, that's the good. The bad, look, there, I'd be nitpicking to actually try to find anything. Um, and perhaps yeah, I guess all I could say is society's judgment.
Okay.
And
That's valid.
yeah, Australia is far more open than perhaps the US and many other countries, but there is still stigma, and there are, I'm very selective as to who I tell what I do.
Right.
And in fact, about a year and a half ago, I was sacked from a job that I had when they discovered what I do. Um,
Oh,
yeah, it
you mean
was,
they fired you?
Yeah.
they fired me straight away. Yes, because it wasn't in line with their viewpoints. Uh,
Hmm.
Yeah.
it
I
was
mean,
the Catholic Society,
oh,
a Catholic
okay.
organization.
Oh,
Okay. Well,
Uh,
well, okay.
it's hard
Yeah.
to defend that. I get it.
Say no more. No.
Eh, eh,
And then the ugly, I don't feel any ugly, Mark, because I guess what it comes down to is I've got to a point in my life where I'm really proud of what I do. I don't feel afraid or embarrassed or ashamed of what I do. And at this point in my life, I'm like, well, look, if someone were to confront me and say, "Oh, you're doing X, Y, Z," like in a derogatory way, I'd be like, yes, and I get paid well, and I'm sorry that clearly you've got issues about sex. Maybe you should want to see someone about that. But no, it's sort of just flipping the script. I'm
right.
fine, and it's a mirror for anyone who would want to judge me about doing this. So
Yes.
it's a self-confidence that no, I have no qualms about what I do because I know that what I do is really important and it makes women feel empowered and terrific. And that's the joy. So yeah,
I,
there is no ugly to it.
Yeah,
I
I would think anybody who wants to judge what you do
right.
just needs to read 3 of the testimonials
Yeah.
on your website. And I love how much you embrace the fact that you know that you're actually helping these women at a level and with a connection. And yeah, to your point, they walk in one way, they walk out another, feeling completely whole again. So that was a surprise to me. I really did enjoy watching and looking at the website and seeing the women who get so much just from spending time with you. It was an eye opener for me.
But I think, and my thing is, what if you're so good that I feel like you probably have stalkers or women that you sort of have to keep reminding, well, this is a paid transaction, right? I mean, does that happen often?
Look, it does a bit, Stacey, and some of them have said, look, George, you've set the bar too high.
Right.
So they may have come out of a long-term thing and they're wanting to date and they've seen me as a bit of a bridge to get from where they're at to, the other side. And I've given them an incredible experience. And
That's
like,
a good point.
George, no one else will be able to step up to your level anymore. And not so much the stalker thing, but I guess that's the quandary that as a professional, I do my best job I can possibly do. And then they're deflated when they go on
somewhere else.
It's a good point. You're killing them for the rest of us. Okay.
Oh, God, sorry.
That's fair.
So wait, so what do you do? You say, okay, we'll just keep paying it. Let's just let's just keep on this. Yeah.
No, just to that point, it's a really important one because I have some clients who will see me once and then they will say, look, you're too good. I need to reassess my expectations. And look, I honor that. And it's not a great business model if they only see me once, but I would rather them have an amazing experience and raise their level of what they are worth and expect that, because I've met clients where they didn't feel worthy of affection and attention from men. And then having seen me, they just hold their shoulders back. They carry themselves higher, and that confidence leads them into something better. And so I'm more than happy to see a client once and they go on their way. That's bliss, and it's happened many times.
Well, okay, so your job though, I mean, you have to have days when you wake up in the morning and you're like, oof, I am tired today, or I can't be the best George I can be today for this woman. What do you do during those days? How do you get yourself pumped up?
Look, it's a great question, but I don't feel that. It's look,
George,
Man
come
loves
on.
his job. Wakes up
come
on
on,
every day.
I'm not your average bear.
I guess not.
As my mum would say, look, wow, you must be good. It's like,
Your
Thanks,
mom
Mom.
says that.
yes, she did. When I got a client that took me
love her.
overseas, I got a client that took me to Scotland last year, and my mum said, wow, you must be really good. I'm like,
You like your
thanks,
mom.
Mum. But no, I do have such a positive approach and energy that, I mean, sure, in my own way, I recharge my own batteries. So being with a client for, look, in that circumstance in Scotland, that was a week. That's a long time to be on.
Yeah.
That's next level stuff, and it's very challenging. I have some weekend clients, and even then, it's 48 hours. That's a lot to be. Imagine if let's say you're an actor. In a certain way, I am, and so I need to moderate my own personal space
So what
to
do you
be
do?
able to.
You like
Well, for me, it's like I live by the beach. I'm always in the ocean. I love to
Surfing.
read. I surf, and so I have to do that. So it's like, we've all got a job. We all do something. Then we need to just replenish. So, but it is more than that in the roles that I play, in the job that I do, because it's so intimate. And, sex does change the brain chemistry of women in particular. Like when we are so intimate, it flips around, well, oh my goodness, what have you done to me? So yeah, it requires a great deal of perception and awareness of, and as we talked about earlier, like, are they going to fall in love with me? Are they going to see something that they can't get outside of this space? And I've got to be really careful about that, because perhaps some of these clients, and I know this, they see what I provide and it's exactly what they want. But unless they're going to pay me, they won't get it.
Yeah, right.
So then you just say, is there something that you do to make them not fall in love with you?
Collect the money, right? Keep the barrier
Yeah,
there.
but no,
Keep
they
the
don't
boundary.
care. They're going to give money and
Look, I'm very diplomatic. And if I feel and I sense that they are getting too close to me, I have to be very subtle and
right.
but very clear that unfortunately, look, this is a transaction.
Yeah.
Right.
And that can be heartbreaking. It can be
Sure.
really
Yeah.
tough
Yeah.
because it's like I'm offering something that is not for sale.
Right.
Like you can rent, but you can't buy.
Yeah.
Do you have like colleagues that you talk to about the business, right? Is there
Right.
like a, not, I'm sure there's no trade show or trade magazine, but there has to be a handful of guys that you sort of sit around, have coffee, and exchange war stories.
Look, there's only four. Oh, no, I wouldn't call it war stories. I know your point, Mark, but there's probably, I could count on one hand the number of guys who I trust and who I respect, who work in this space. Because, for example, here in New South Wales, which is the state that I live in, I've looked at some of the spaces where people advertise, and there's something like 3,000 women within New South Wales who are doing this independent work, like not from a brothel, doing it themselves. And there's about 35 men. Of those, it's probably, like I say, less than a handful of men that I know and I trust and I will be open to have conversations with. So it is a bit of a lonely business. But yeah, look, it requires a great deal of emotional intelligence and appreciation for your why. Like, why am I doing this?
Right.
Yeah.
I love
So,
this.
yeah.
I mean, I feel like thank you for having these kinds of
this is
conversations
great.
because like what makes you talk about this? Because I know you're exposing yourself to all of our fans and other people. So thank you. And what makes you do it?
Why I do it, and I love to talk about this, Stacey, is because what I want to do is to reduce the stigma around this work, because it's the oldest profession in the world, and it wouldn't exist if there was not supply and demand. And what I love is that women are feeling increasingly empowered to be able to reach out to people like me, because what are the alternatives? They might be lonely, they might miss connection, even the simple things of that hand holding that we talked about. And where does that lead? And we're good at seeking out professionals to see as a therapist or to cut her hair or to do whatever. So I want to remove the stigma of this work, call it sex work or companionship, because it is both of those things. And you asked that at the outset. I think it's just a caring and kindness industry that I work in. And it's up to the client to seek out what they want. And the reason I do this, the reason I talk to people like yourselves and do the media that I do, is just to break down those barriers of it's not a salacious thing.
Right.
It really is about human connection. And that's what I get out of it. And that's what my clients get out of it. And that's, for me, the most profound part of it is just caring, kindness, generosity, and affection.
What's the future of this here? Do you see, well, I'm going to do this until I'm X amount of years old, or what's the timeout? What's your view on that?
I think about this quite a bit, Mark. And I don't know that there's a time limit per se. I think because even in the last 2 years I've been doing this, I think there's branches opportunities to branch out into things like education and like even doing more of this type of conversational discussions. Like I say, my clientele range from up to 80 and so forth. I don't think that's going to change. I think society, certainly here in Australia at least, is being far more accepting of the empowerment of women. Most of my clientele have been through menopause, and it's that as its own sort of fascinating thing because it's it's such an individual journey, and there is the myth that women post menopause or perimenopause or what have you, they give up on sex. And look, from my experience, sure, that's the legit thing, but there are so many who are like, oh my goodness, I've never felt more excited than I have now because I can't get pregnant. Um, I'm confident in who I am and what I want.
Right.
And there's this another level of sexual liberation. So who knows is the answer. I think there's a
Wow.
longevity in it in whatever way that might be, Mark.
Yeah.
Physically, though, men as they get older aren't quite as virile, right? Do you find that doesn't affect you, or you use certain things to help you stay virile, or what?
I, d- I know what you're asking here, Stephanie.
I don't.
I
Can you
don't,
spell it out a little bit better?
she's asking if I need Viagra.
There you go.
And
Well,
personally, no, I don't.
yes.
But look, to be serious about it, there are so many people, men who have erectile dysfunction or a whole bunch of things. And look, that's a genuine thing that can be treated. Personally, I don't know if I'm just fortunate, but
Special.
it's not my
Yeah.
thing. I've loved women, honored women in from since I was a kid. I've had great role models in my life, all of my life. So I'm very fortunate. Uh, so if and I do get inquiries from men, and I'll give them advice for sure. So why don't you do what I did? Like 12 years of dating, respect women, get to learn what women want, and then you might be ready to do this. So, good luck to you. I'll give you some hot tips here and there. But it's all about respecting and honoring women and
Yeah.
just being the best version of a man you can, because there are so many bad versions of men out there, and it's a responsibility. I'm doing my bit, one
Yeah.
one woman at a time.
One
Oh
moment at a
my
time.
God. My last question is, if I'm a woman and I'm looking for your services, I mean, in America, it's not legal.
Right.
No.
But I guess where it is legal, what would you suggest?
Well, I think it's important to understand what you are wanting. And that's I ask all of my potential clients, what do you want? Like, what do you actually really want? Is it just sex you want? Or are you just wanting to find your confidence again? Or do you want to feel that you feel safe with a man again? Or what's your why? What is it that actually has made you reach out to connect with someone like me? And then, and only then, if we find that connection, then it's like, okay, you found the right person. Yeah, I might be good for you. If I'm not, I'll recommend you to one of the limited number of men that I know who might be better for you. Let's meet, take it slow, see what happens, and then no expectations or limit the expectations of what we're going to do, because I don't want you to come to me thinking, oh my God, George is going to blow my mind. I'll be a sex goddess and everything's going to be wonderful.
GeorgeGoulburn.com. I confused you with somebody else.
GeorgeGoulburn.com. Yeah. Hopefully you can
GeorgeGoulburn.com.
pop it in the show notes and
Yes,
yeah.
we'll pop that in the show notes. And I mean, I think you should write a book.
Yeah, oh my
Oh,
God.
Oh my God, it'd
You
be
should
so
totally write a book.
fascinating.
Look, I am a writer as well, and
Yeah.
it's certainly in the works. Yeah, a book.
Look, it's a great
And
topic.
yeah, look, it's not salacious. It's just all about
No.
the insights into human behavior and relationships and the beauty that we share and that we don't talk about as well.
Oh, we wish you the best of luck.
Oh my God, this has
Can't
been
thank you enough.
fabulous. It is 12:30 your time, right?
Oh yeah, it's
Midnight?
tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
Hey, it's tomorrow.
in Australia.
It's Wednesday. Yes.
Well, I mean, thank you so much for talking to us. I've so enjoyed this conversation.
Same here. Yeah, we
Yeah.
got a good look inside of a world that very
Yeah.
few of us think about or know anything about. So thank you for that.
Thanks for doing what you do. Thank you for your service.
Yeah. You
Oh,
are
look,
changing
it's
lives.
been an absolute pleasure. And thank you. I get so much joy out of sharing this content and this
Yeah.
information. So I'm honored.
And have a good night's sleep and a good flight.
Yeah,
Ciao.
all right. All right. Be well. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you again soon.